Okay, hello. My name's Kwan Ingao, and yours is
Julie Gonzalez.
Professor,
No, I'm a lecturer.
lecturer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, my research question is, how does income inequality like affect immigrants that have like newly like arrived? The reason why it shows that is because I'm an immigrant myself, first generation. Honestly, also first person to like go to college.
Okay.
So I'm just like wondering your takes on like how income inequality like affects newly arrived immigrants in general.
Well, one of the mechanisms we have for sort of mitigating income inequality would be the social safety net, and I think probably most immigrants don't qualify for some of those programs. So that could be a mechanism that keeps them, on the lower income scale. But I guess it would depend on the type of immigrant. Like if they're here on an H-1B visa, then they probably have like a tech job of some sort.
Yeah, tech
And
job.
so they're going to be on the upper income scale. So I guess it would depend on what type of immigrant, like where they're coming from.
Yeah. Also, like on like what political parties like in favor or like against like helping lower income like immigrants or other
Probably
people.
the Democratic Party is in favor of helping lower income immigrants for sure.
Actually, I did some research and I found like from the California Journal of like policies and politics, Democrats are like way more likely to try to like go for policies to lessen the gap between like incomes and compared to like Republicans and independents.
Right. Well, they just tend to be more for like social safety net things. Like,
Social safety nets, food stamps, stuff like that.
Welfare, unemployment insurance, stuff like that.
Also,
medical.
Medical too.
Access, yeah.
Actually, according to like the National Library of like Medicine, it's like a government institution. The lower income you have, the like less access you have to like medicine in general, despite the social safety nets.
That could be because people are more reluctant to go see a doctor, and there's probably longer wait times for like clinics that are more serving of like lower income people.
Low income.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on that particular thing, so I don't know exactly.
Actually, like, I want, like, kind of your take on, like, the rise of income inequality. Like, the Public Institute of like, California did, like, a survey, and they found that, like, the top 90th percentile, like, the top 10% of earners that make the most amount, like, money overall, make, like, 11 times more than the average lower bottom 10% in general.
I think, the data on that show, like it was rising. I think I had a graph in one of our lectures, maybe, but the graph was rising until COVID, and COVID weirdly, like, equalized some things.
I feel like in history, like during like plagues or wars, like income inequality like lessons.
Yeah. I can't remember the impetus there though, because
also during like revolutions, like the French Revolution.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That one didn't end so well.
Yeah, no. Well, I think that if you look at inequality in the U.S., it kind of peaked right before the Great Depression also.
Yeah.
So when you concentrate too much wealth in the top. If you're doing something on income inequality, there's a great podcast where they interview a bunch of different economists on like, I think that it's called like the optimal level of inequality or something like that. It's on the Freakonomics radio.
I also listened to like a podcast that's like the Lemonade Stand. And they talk about like how like the 50s and 60s were like kind of a unique time in history because the
tax
low
rates are really high.
Also the low income and inequality despite like no general wars, plagues.
That's part of that is because at least in the U.S. is that we had no competition internationally. So it was post World War II.
Kind of makes sense. We're like the only like manufacturing at that time.
So like none of the current competitors that we had really were in our league, as economically speaking, so they weren't competing.
They had like no industry basically. It was all destroyed.
Right.
Y'all had to like rebuild.
Exactly.
Also also like according to Brookings, like income inequality, like they had like a different solution besides like taxes on the more wealthy members of society and social safety nets.
I think marginal tax rates were the highest in the 50s and
They were
60s.
the highest though.
Yeah.
They had like they talked about like technology. What was that approach again? We talked about in class how like focused more on like general technology for like rising GDP.
Yeah.
It
So
was
we have the best technology. I was looking for. There's a graph of income inequality in the U.S. in our book, but I don't know. I don't think I have the book with us. It was in chapter. Maybe one of those like growth chapters. There was a graph of
Growth
income inequality.
chapters. I'm just like checking to see that was still like recorded.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't think I have my book with me, but it was in either chapter 7 or chapter 8. There was a graph of income inequality.
Income inequality, yeah. So, according to like Brookings, they posited like a theory that if like the workforce like gained more skills, got more technical, like the income inequality will like decline.
AI could make it worse though too.
Yeah, AI too, because like when you think of AI, it's like, oh, they're gonna take like laborer jobs or like low income jobs
or even middle income jobs.
But they're like going up like higher income like coding.
Yeah.
That's like a really big problem.
Potentially, yes.
So like Brookings talks about like training like technical skills and how that'll be like helpful for firms in general because it'll like marginal product of labor, it'll increase it because when a workforce like gets more technical, it like produces more in general. So that would like raise the wages for the firm and the worker.
That sounds about right.
So I'm just like wondering like how accurate is that? Like
again, I mean I'm sure it's a good prescription, except for I would be concerned about the impact of AI. Because it depends on what skills you're investing in, right?
So skills also plays
which
a part.
skills, right? Because like for example, coding has become a lot of that is like replaced by AI.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
So you could end up investing in the wrong skill set. So I don't know that we know which types of jobs are going to be displaced and which ones aren't. You know.
So according to like Harvard Gazette, you know, like Harvard Gazette, it's like a social and economic institute from Harvard. It says like typically like white Americans tend to like earn 11 times. White American families tend to earn like 11 times more on average than like Latino families, which are like usually immigrant families.
Right.
So I'm just like wondering like, is that like a systemic issue, institutional, or like just like new arrivals?
Probably
tend
the
to
source of the skill set they came in with as immigrants, right? So it probably takes multiple generations to have them climb the socioeconomic ladder, right?
So essentially, immigrants tend to make less because of the skill sets they currently have. They lack.
But not all. I mean, right? So
H-1B.
Yeah, exactly.
So they also like tend to be less healthier because medicine is dependent on like how much income you make in America. The social safety nets are good, but they're not like as good.
Well, I don't know exactly how different immigrant groups qualify or don't qualify. That's one thing I don't really know about. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, like if you're
specifics.
I don't know if you qualify for certain types of government programs. Because I think, for example, Trump was trying to pass something in the bill is
like the big beautiful
only people
bill
with social security numbers can get a bunch of different things now. So that would mean any immigrant group essentially can't.
So essentially, like no
immigrants, probably.
No immigrants, yeah. Free anti-immigrant.
So it's eliminating the social safety net for any immigrant.
So that's probably gonna widen the
I would
gap.
think so, especially among immigrant
groups. So according to like the Peterson Institute for International Economics, like 6 in 10 Americans think that income inequality is a huge issue. Most of those like interviewed are like from lower incomes in general as well. I'm just like wondering like when you get higher in income levels, does that tend to like change your policies drastically, or?
Well, there's been research showing like people do, like once their incomes become a certain level, it actually changes like their level of empathy for other people.
Would that also apply for like immigrant groups? Like if they get
Maybe-
wealthier, if they get wealthier, would they tend to like
It's
vote
probably
for
true.
like?
It's probably a human condition, right? So it probably happens
Okay.
to anyone.
So kind of like Keynesianism with like the animal spirit. It's kind of like that. Where-
No, I mean, I think it would just be human nature. Like when people
Okay, so like
start to make more money, they're surrounded by other people that make all kinds of money. and
so
then
it's kind of like a perspective issue.
yeah, exactly.
So essentially, like usually when immigrant groups make more money, they tend to be like less sympathetic to newly arrived immigrants.
That's also what is that you?
Oh no, I think that's
this
you.
iPad.
Yeah.
So there is a phenomenon of like that where like if you look in like Florida, for example, lots of Cuban immigrants are against other immigrants. So it's like I forget what they call it, like pulling up the ladder behind you kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's like once you get in to
It's
the
like
US, it's like you're against other people
Yeah.
coming in.
So would that like constitute as like adding to income inequality in a sense, like they
Well,
would be
there's
less
probably
likely.
a fear of income inequality.
Yeah, they would
maybe.
like. Would that also be like they would be less likely to vote for policies that would have benefited them two
Yeah,
generations
exactly.
ago?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Mhm,
okay.
for sure.
So that would like widen income inequality.
Probably, potentially. Yeah.
Potentially. Also, it's like.
That's also a misnomer. Like people think that immigrants are going to necessarily be democratic, but actually, lots of them, once they get here and start to oppose new immigrants, they become more conservative.
Would that also have to do with like getting established more? Like the more they're like
Mm-hmm, yeah.
established,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
less likely they are to like vote for
Yeah.
helping
Mhm.
those who aren't established.
Yeah. Exactly.
So would that also be like the reason why like so many immigrants, like so many like minorities voted for Trump during like 2024? Would that be like
Yeah, that's a complex
yeah okay
thing.
okay
I mean, it was partially
Mm.
driven by that. I'm not
Partially.
sure that explains all of it. I
Okay.
don't know.
okay let's get back to like social safety nets for
Mhm.
like so from like the Public Policy Institute of California, it also states how like social safety nets in general are really good at like battling income inequality among immigrants and also other ethnic minorities that suffer more than like the general population. I'm just like wondering like the reason why like social safety nets in general are more opposed by like the general population that's not affected.
Oh, you're asking why people
Like-
oppose social safety nets?
Oh no, I'm just like asking like what are like might be the like economic reasons for like opposing it.
Well, they don't want to. I mean, people don't want to have to pay for supporting other people. I think that's generally the idea, right?
Mm.
So they don't want their tax dollars
yeah.
to go supporting other people.
So it's like more or less like the pulling of the ladders type thing.
Yeah,
or-
exactly. Well, they don't want to. They don't want their tax dollars to go technically supporting immigrants, right?
Yeah,
It's like the America First.
America First, stuff
Yeah.
like that. So also one last thing. So going to Harvard Gazette,
Mm-hmm.
immigrant groups are how do you say more than 10 times less likely to have like less how do you say they have more health issues than like the average American
Mm-hmm.
in general. Could that also be due to
You
like
think all immigrants?
oh no like the average immigrant?
Okay.
Like according to like the Harvard Gazette,
Okay.
like the average Latino who makes like 10 times less than the average American, they suffer from like a third more issues
Mhm.
health wise. Could that also be due to like poor access to like good food in general, or
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of writing on like food deserts. You know,
Oh, yeah, food
places where you
deserts.
can't, where there's not grocery stores that sell healthy food's more expensive.
yeah?
And so it's like a positive feedback loop where they can't afford to shop at
Oh yeah, kind of like a
grocery stores.
multiplier.
And then they close, and then more
Mm.
like Dollar Trees open. So
Yeah,
if you look
Dollar
at like
Trees.
maps of the South, it's all
like fast
littered
food.
with like
Fast-
fast food,
fast-
also Dollar Tree.
Dollar
So
Tree.
people shop at the Dollar Tree for groceries.
Yeah. Could I also relate, like, does that also draw like a connection to what we've learned in class with like multipliers? Well, like something bad happens and that bad thing multiplies.
So it's sort of like a positive feedback loop, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is a multiplier is a version of a positive feedback loop.
So essentially, like, less economic opportunity, less poorer health.
And then they can't shop. And then they don't shop at, like, say, Safeway. Instead, they shop at the Dollar Tree, and then the Safeway's closed. And the Dollar Tree's open, and then it just feeds into the.
And then they get less healthier. They pay more for healthcare.
Exactly.
And then they get less opportunity because of their health issues. And that kind of like trickles down to their children.
Right. Exactly.
So essentially, it's really systemic in general. So would you like advocate for like social safety nets, like food stamps?
Probably maybe like a reform of. I don't really know actually how that actually works. I mean, so right now they're trying to reform a lot about the SNAP program, but I'm not exactly sure. I think it was trying to prevent people from buying certain things.
It's like preventing them from buying specific items that are like labeled.
But it's
unhealthy.
hard to know if that's actually going to work that well, because the problem is that cheap food, you know, if you're on food stamps, you're already not getting very much money to buy groceries.
So essentially,
cheaper. Like, I don't know how that's actually going to.
Essentially, like forcing people that don't really have the money to buy healthy food to buy healthy food.
Yeah, but I don't know how they would comply with it. You know what I mean? They probably.
I feel like RFK.
I don't think I've read anything positive about it. Put it that way.
I feel like RFK like just hears like sugar in food and he's like no, but that's like the most affordable option.
Right,
like a gallon of like Coke is like way cheaper than water, which is like really messed up.
Yeah, and I don't know. I've read a couple things about it, but I couldn't say with certainty like what they concluded. But it was basically the other problem is it's so specific that it could be also kind of distorting. Like I don't know what it's going to do. You know what I mean?
So essentially, it's like a policy that's for really specific, but most people have no idea what's going to happen because of like it's not really clarified.
And it's also limiting what people can buy, and it's not really clear what it's limiting and why.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It could be like this one has like some magnesium in it, like 0.2 grams.
I don't know.
And that could like potentially cause autism, according to like RFK, and he's like, no.
Yeah, I don't think he's exactly known for his accuracy in the science.
Not really known for his scientific knowledge in general.
Yeah.
Honestly. Okay, so the last question here. So, income inequality among immigrants is a huge issue, and what are like the potential solutions like for that in general? Policy-wise and also like societally wise.
Probably the best ones are going to be targeting like the skill sets of people, right? So the ability to like get an education and improve like skill sets so they can get into higher paying jobs and careers and things like that. That's the best long run probably outcome, right? Because anything else is like a temporary patch, you know, it's just a temporary solution to something that is systemic.
So like college programs that help like minority
or even
groups,
like
trade schools.
Yeah, like a trade school thing.
College, stuff like that. Essentially like more opportunities for lower income earners.
Yeah, for better education, better training, you know.
Kind of like considering like what's happening right now, I don't think that's gonna happen. Honestly,
probably not. No.
Yeah, no.
But that would improve their job prospects, which would improve their income, reduce income.
So like a positive feedback loop. Then.
Yeah, the other direction. You know?
So other direction, in a positive direction. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
For the interview.
Good luck.
And this is.
You want my name again?
Oh yeah, name
Julie Gonzalez.
Julie Gonzalez.
Yeah, I'm a lecturer in the Department of Economics.
A lecturer. Wait, when did you get like your PhD, like your degree?
When?
Like
2003.
2003.
Yeah, from USC.
USC. How was it?
Challenging.
Challenging. Okay. Okay. Have a good.